Paying off debt. Let's talk about it.
Hi, my name's Angela, and I paid off $35,000 of debt in 558 days because I moved out of my luxury apartment building and into a bedroom. I'm not telling everyone to rent a bedroom, but I used to be someone who, when my lease was up on my apartment, there were only a few options. I was either going to renew my lease for the 13 months because that was the cheapest option, or I was going to look into other apartments that were either just as nice but the same amount of rent, or nicer, and I was going to be paying just a little bit more, but at least my apartment was always equally as nice or nicer, never downgrading. And then I realized that I had to downgrade if I wanted to change my life. If I wanted to just keep paying too much for rent and trying to get by and paying my bills on my credit card and paying all this interest because I couldn't pay off my credit cards, that's a fine loop, I guess. But if you actually want to change your life, like I said, you don't have to rent a bedroom. But like, the nicer countertops don't always matter. Peel and stick is a great option these days. As long as you're in an okay neighborhood. I know a lot of you are parents, so like, take care of your kids. But we also have to pay off our debts, you know? Luxury isn't luxury anymore. My first luxury apartment was the reason why I came up with this idea to move out and change my life. Luxury is garbage in 2024. I love you. Think about it.
Yo, love that. I love everything she said in that video. This is the same thing I've been preaching on this channel for the past since I started making these reaction type videos. Guys, right now is a tough time for a lot of people. You're in debt, you're struggling to get by, you can't afford to pay for groceries. It's tough times right now. Everything is expensive. Something else that I say all the time, you have to play with the hands you were dealt. Now, as for some of you, I know that sucks. But honestly, guys, it just is what it is. And to get ahead financially, sometimes you have to make sacrifice. As she said, she made sacrifice by not living in luxury anymore. And that's what I think is holding back a lot of people, and a lot of the comments that I see on my channel, you viewers, is that you don't quite want to give up that comfort that you have or the niceness that you have. Now, I'm in agreement with her. Like, if you have kids, if you're a girl, like, you know, try to live in a safer area. Obviously, I'm not telling you go live somewhere unsafe and, you know, that's going to potentially threaten your life. Like, obviously don't do that. But like she said, don't live somewhere with the nice countertops. Go somewhere where it's laminate and it's the fixtures from the 1980s. Like, make that work until you can get ahead. That's your time to sacrifice. If you guys truly want to pay off debt, to get ahead financially, to change your life financially, this is what it takes. Plain and simple. There's no easy way out. You got to sacrifice. And I say that all the time, and there's always some of you in the comments section that's like, well, I deserve to, you know, live in a nice area. Yes, of course, everyone deserves that, right? Everyone does. But unfortunately, you're not a trust fund baby. I wasn't. Like, you gotta figure out what you gotta do. She said it perfectly. If you know you're living somewhere that's too expensive, you gotta move.
So this morning I did something crazy. I made a credit card payment of $4,536, which completely paid off one of my credit cards. It was a card that I had maxed out when I moved from Kansas to Portland. I wasn't making a lot of money at the time and I was adjusting to the high cost of living, so I used this credit card to do that. But it's a card that I've been wanting to pay off for a really long time, so I was really happy that I finally had the money to be able to just pay it off completely. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was kind of hoping that after I made the payment that the credit card company would drop down a banner that said congratulations, that balloons would fly into the air and confetti would fall from the sky, and it would just say congratulations on paying off this credit card. And then I realized that of course that's not going to happen, because banks and credit card companies are not happy that you're paying off your debt. And I realize I'm not the only one who is working on becoming debt free, and there's probably a lot of other people who paid off credit cards and didn't get that message. So if you're in that same boat and you woke up today and you paid off one of your credit cards, if you even just made your minimum credit card payment, then this message is for you. Congratulations, you did it. I am so proud of you. You rock. You're the best. Way to go.
That's funny she said that, because I remember when I paid off my student loans, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, yo, isn't there like a little thank you card or like a, hey, congratulations, you've paid off your loans? No, it's balance equals 0. That's it. But as I always say, you gotta celebrate your wins. Yes, the bank's probably not gonna have fireworks going off and there's not gonna be confetti dropping from the ceiling when you pay off your debt, but you can celebrate. Let that be your motivation for your payoff journey. I remember reading blog posts because there wasn't too much video of this stuff back when I was paying off my student loans in 2000. When was that? 2016, I believe. No, 2014 was when we paid off the student loans. But I remember reading blog posts, and I think that's something very important if you guys are on a debt payoff journey, whether that be for credit card debt or for student loans, or maybe you're on a payoff journey to pay off your mortgage. I think finding people who are doing the same thing you are is motivating. And people who talk about this and document their journey of paying off debt. I remember reading, like I said, blog posts when my wife and I were working on paying off our student loans. You share those feelings with the creator that you're either reading or watching. And it really does motivate you because you see the wins they're having. You experience the same feelings they're having. And in return, it's motivating you to the end goal to simply pay off your debt. And then when you see others killing it, you see others getting to that goal and they take the trip to celebrate. That was our big thing. It's like we knew we were going to Mexico when we paid off our debt. That was like our end goal. That was our way to celebrate for ourselves, was we were going to take a trip now that we knew that our debts were completely paid off. So set that for yourself. Maybe start watching videos of people who are paying off debt. Maybe start, having a little poster board or a whiteboard in your kitchen or your living room or in your office, wherever it is, or in your bathroom where you wake up every morning and you see that. You see where you're at on your goal. That way it keeps you intact. It keeps you knowing where you're at and what you're striving to work for. So when you do wake up that morning, you're like, instead of spending $6 on a cup of coffee, I'm going to transfer $6 over to my credit card and pay off $6 worth of debt. Doesn't sound like much, but trust me, guys, every single penny adds up. So if you can keep yourself motivated, because trust me, the journey is tough and it usually is long, but if you can keep yourself motivated knowing what that end goal is, which is paying off that debt, it's so worth it, guys. And it literally changes your life.
Back in March, I did an audit on my finances and I realized I was $33,000 in debt. So I took a step back, started tracking all of my finances, my expenses, my income, everything. I am now on track to pay it all off by the end of the year. So here's the update on where I'm at and my journey so far. This was my total balance in March, $33,549.40. And my total balance in April, May, June, July, August. In September, it went back up a little bit, but in October, I made sure to bring that down. I officially have a little bit over 5,000 to go before I am completely debt free, and I cannot wait to get there. Follow me to see the journey and for more financial insights.
Love it. And I love how he's tracking his debt payoff. That's probably one of the most important things that worked for me. Now, everyone works differently, I get that, but one thing that I wanted to do is I tracked everything in a spreadsheet. And it made me see, when you put everything together and you add up all of your debts and you really start to notice, holy shit-o, we are, we got some work to do. But what that does is that lights a fire under your ass to get going and to get to that end goal. And if you guys are needing a debt payoff tracker, I have a spreadsheet, a template down below in my description. It's $25. It's in my Etsy store. You guys can purchase that. It has a debt payoff tracker. It has a net worth tracker. It's a budgeting template where you can budget all of your finances on a monthly or an annual basis. If you guys want to check that out, again, there's a link down below in the description. I'll pin a comment for you as well. But tracking your debt payoff journey, and also obviously living on a budget and tracking your expenses, but seeing where your debt payments are going every single month and being able to see it decline like he was showing in his video. You saw it every single month besides that one where it was going down in value. That's so motivating, guys. And I keep going back to that, but that really does change how your journey is. When you can stay motivated in the process of paying off your debt, you'll actually figure out ways to even pay it off faster than your original goal. Most people I've talked to who've been in this payoff journey is they set a goal for themselves based on they know how much they make, they know how much they're going to pay towards their debt. They've kind of planned it out mathematically. But as they stay on top of it every single month, I would say 90% of the people end up hitting that goal before the original goal they set for themselves when they first started their journey. That's how important it is to start tracking your debt payoff journey.
We went from being house poor to debt free in 3 years, and I want to share the 7 things that actually made it possible. If we haven't met yet, I'm Renee. I'm a recovering shopaholic turned minimalist, and my goal with stuff is to help you have less so that you can do more with your one life. Now, let's talk about the problem. The reality is that when we were living in our big house, in our perfect little neighborhood, the dream house we always wanted to live in, we weren't really stretching that much further than most of the people in our lives or most of the people around us. We were living on par with what everyone else in our lives was doing, which was just slowly upgrading. The more kids you had, the bigger house, that kind of thing. But what we didn't take into consideration was that the more that we did this, the tighter we made our financial situation. You see, there are people out there who are truly poor, struggling below the poverty line. And then there are people who continually keep themselves poor through their habits, and we were those people. When you are that person, you are incapable of helping yourself, and you're incapable of helping anybody else because you're actively working to keep yourself poor. Now, your mindset has a lot to do with that, but the first thing you have to do, of course, is acknowledge the fact that you are headed in a bad direction. For us to take the time to realize that our upward trajectory, the lifestyle that was approved of by everybody else, was not what we wanted, was a really tough realization, because it brings on a lot of other things, but I'll get to that. If you are in a bad financial spot and you are the problem, you need to acknowledge that you're the problem and start looking at your finances. I know how gross it can feel to open up your bank account because you know it's going to be zero, but the only way to stop having that same recurring pattern happen, the only way to stop opening up your bank account and seeing that there's no money in there, is for you to look at it and figure out what to do to change it. Next up, we had to set goals that were bigger than stuff. Previously, before, it was like, ooh, that new car, ooh, that upgraded house, ooh, I want that new outfit. It was just always about the things and the next thing that we could buy, because it seemed like that's what everybody else around us was doing. Instead, we had to set a bigger goal. Now, because when we moved into our big house, our family started to fall apart, our marriage started to struggle because we were struggling more with finances. They always said that finances was one of the biggest things that causes divorces, and I was working so hard to make sure that didn't happen that I just wasn't even talking about our finances at all. But it can still be a secret killer. Just because you're talking about it doesn't mean it's not a problem. So the goal we set with ourselves was to get back to that happy family that we used to be. I am not joking when I say that I married my best friend, but when we moved into the bigger house and were struggling more with finances, we barely spoke to one another. So I felt like I lost my husband and my best friend. Our big goal was to let go of the stuff, simplify our lifestyle so that we could get back to having one another. A lot of times people think improving your finances is just about learning and understanding money, when in reality, there's a lot of heartfelt goal that needs to go into it and a lot of your mentality. As soon as I put my focus on fixing my family, I was willing to let go of anything and everything that was holding me back, financial stuff included. This naturally led to number 4, which is reducing the amount of money you spend on things that don't align with your goal. What don't you need to get there? For me, that was basically nothing. I basically didn't need anything. And people say this all the time, right? Oh, if my house burned down, I would just want to make it out with my family. But yet we cling to our things so often. I was willing to let go of absolutely anything as long as it meant I could get back to that family. Number 5, you're going to have to let go of your ego, because when you're working to shift your lifestyle and live in a way that not everybody else around you is, it's going to bring up a lot of discomfort. You're going to feel weird. People are going to think you're weird, and you have to be willing to not care. Number 6, downsize, declutter, and do it again. If you are living above your means, working to downsize, simplify, cut back, reduce in any way that you can will help you feel like you're not constantly sinking. And then you're actually able to make headway. Oh my gosh, my dog got in the kiddie pool. I left it outside hoping he would go in, and he did. Anyway, lastly, do not get back into the hole that you were previously in. Our minds will do so much work to keep us stuck in the same cycles that we are used to, even if those are bad cycles. So, once you go through the process of learning to better understand your money and simplify your life, work to avoid ever getting back to that place.
All right, so I know that was a longer clip, but when I watched that, I knew I had to include that into today's video because she nailed it. Nailed it. And there's 2 things I really want to touch on out of those 7 things that she was talking about that her and her husband completely changed their life on and bettered their finances because of that, and also ended up bettering their marriage. Now, that's the first thing. Now, men, women, those of you that are married, I think there's a stat out there that's like 51 or 52% of divorces end or start or happen because of finances. That's so terrible, and it crushes me inside every time I talk about that, because I personally, like, I love my wife, and I would literally lay my life down for my wife. Hands down. My wife and my kids, I would lay down my life for them. That is how much I truly love my family. When I hear these messages come in, these stories of people, of you viewers, that your family's struggling, your marriage is on the verge of divorce because of these spending or financial issues, whatever it is, I feel the pain inside me for you guys. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if I knew something ever was going to happen to mine and my wife's marriage, and that I could do something about it to change it. Now, if she one day ends up saying, hey, you're getting old and ugly and I'm going to find the next guy, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. You know what I mean? But like, what I mean is, if there's something that I could focus on to change this, being handling my finances better, why would you not do that to save your marriage? I can't think of a reason why why no one else would want to do that. So if that's you, if you know you and your spouse are on that verge, or you see yourself going more towards that side of things, the best thing I can tell you is to maybe take a trip, right? I know maybe you can't afford it, but try to find a weekend. Maybe you can just get away, go find a cheap Airbnb somewhere, and just you two get away from the kids. Try to find a babysitter, grandparents, whatever it is, and just go talk. Go have a conversation with your loved one and figure out the steps in the journey that you need to take in order to get that love and that connection back. And if it's a financial issue, you have to know that it can be done, but it does take both of you as a team to do that together. And I absolutely hate hearing people ending up in divorce over finances. And the other thing I want to touch on is she was talking about, moving into the bigger house and the nicer car and keeping up with the Joneses, basically. Like, when you get into that neighborhood and everyone's like, oh, you got the new car, I got to go get this. It's a bunch of bullshit is what it is, guys. It is complete bullshit. Like, my wife and I still drive the car that she's had since when she graduated high school. I feel no need whatsoever to impress the people around me with my finances, because I simply just don't give a shit what people think about me. And I know there's some men out there, like, there's that ego aspect where you got to show the Rolex, you got to show the nice sneakers, or you got to show up in the nice car or whatever it is, because it makes you feel proud, it makes you feel successful. I get it, guys, trust me. I struggle with that sometimes, pulling up in my Pontiac G6. I get it. It is tough sometimes, but if you can just get past the fact of like having to impress people that really honestly probably don't give a shit about you anyways, and just know that when you are driving that old piece of shit car, that you're doing it for your family. Then when you look at those people who have the $500, $600, $1,000 car payment driving those nice cars, yes, they are nice, but you're instead putting that money away in investments and bettering your family's future, and you get to take those trips or, whatever it is fun that you like to do with your family. That's what feels good. That's why I don't give a shit about what other people think about me with the way I handle my money. Because ultimately, I'm worried about my core. My wife and my 2 kids. And if I can make a better life for them, that's all that matters for me. Because I would much rather enjoy these moments that I have every single morning, not being rushed to get to work. And my wife and I get to cook breakfast every single morning for our kids and talk about our days and what we have planned and what we're looking forward to this weekend. Every single morning we get to do that. I would take that every single day over having a nice brand new car in the garage. But that's just me. Maybe some people want the nice car and the nice house and be house poor and struggle financially the rest of their life. But for me, it ain't worth it.
Oh, man, I'm going to cry. Me too, so it's okay. We'll do it together. How much debt did you pay off?
$131. No, just kidding. $131,182.
Close enough.
Close enough. Yes.
All right. How long did it take?
About 5.5 years. So we kind of started to get serious, and we started to realize the financial chains that we were in. And once you start to realize the chains that you're wearing, and they come off, you start to realize some other stuff. And the first 4 years, I realized I was drowning in alcoholism. And so once I surrendered that to the Lord and got some help. We paid off $70,000 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Once we kind of got that out of the way, got on the same page, got some counseling, got our marriage working, we really were able to buckle down and make some real progress.
So you've been dry 3.5 years?
2.5 years.
2.5. Way to go, hero!
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
That's even a bigger deal.
Oh, that's a
than
lot
all
bigger
this,
deal.
than this debt-free stuff.
A lot bigger
That's
deal.
incredible.
Wow. How proud of him are you, Judy?
Oh, beyond proud. It's changed the course of our family.
For sure.
You know, our boys will never see him drinking and won't know that person. They get to see Daddy.
All right. What happened that woke you up on the sobriety?
Oh, man, I'm going to cry.
Me too, so it's okay. We'll do it together.
I found myself with my 2-year-old's piggy bank and a wire hanger, fishing out money to drink that night. And the Lord said, you're behaving like an addict, and you probably have a problem. And so after that, I sought out, like I said, a Celebrate Recovery ministry in our area and went and admitted to them, and then later that night to her, and the Lord took that from me,
Amen.
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
It's a powerful thing.
So before that, my life was just totally all about me.
Yeah.
And then after that, I realized that the way that I was living, not only with the alcohol, but with the money, was a threat to my kids. And nobody threatens my kids, you know? And so that inspired me to sell my trucks and sell my guns and selling everything, hustle, grind. I threw shingles for 2.5 years.
Wow.
Which was not fun.
No, it's
but
hard work.
and I'm glad I don't do that anymore. But just as my kids will never have to see me under the influence, they'll never know a family that carries any debt.
Yeah.
So,
You're a good man.
thank you.
That's powerful.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Like the redemption part, usually what we get on this stage, you know, obviously comes for the debt-free, right? That's what you're here for. But always underneath that are other stories and life going on. It's life going on. And the money problems end up being, it's usually a symptom, right, of other things, of out of control or a controlling thing, right? Like all of that. And that's the beauty of being debt-free. Not only the financial side where you guys have no payments.
Right.
You're completely free mathematically and financially, which is just incredible. But there is a spiritual, emotional freedom in other areas of your life that I think it really does. It affects, and you guys are just living proof of complete redemption in even bigger ways than
Absolutely.
this
So proud
debt-free
of you.
score. So
I'm
incredible
honored.
job, you guys.
Thank you.
Honored to know you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Garrett and Judy, Joplin, Missouri, $131,000 paid off in 5.5 years, making 40 to 90 to 80. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. We're debt free!
All right, so, gosh, I love those videos. So first and foremost, you guys probably don't know this about me, but I'm a crier. I am. I'll say it. I don't care. I am. I tend to get emotional. You know, I'm like, I remember when I was on my journey my wife and I were to, you know, become debt free and pay off our student loans. I remember being at my office job and listening to these calls, like the debt-free screams, right? Every single video and every single story or podcast that I listened to, and I would hear these stories of the debt-free screams, just touched me. And then like stories like that with the dad, you know, he had alcoholism and, you know, turned his life around, and in return also turned his financial life around. Or, you know, people who were struggling and maybe lost a kid, and through this journey they struggled and they got out, you know, like, just, I remember like listening on my headphones. I can feel it and picture it right now as I'm talking to you guys. Like, that was such a pivotal moment in my life to be able to embrace myself with these types of stories, to know that like there's so much more to this than just being debt free. Like, you are legit changing your and your family's life. And I don't really know what else to say to make it that much more important to understand, guys. Like, if you are struggling financially, or you maybe just been like, you know, putting it under the rug, and maybe you don't log into your bank account that often because you just don't want to see and deal with what's going on in there. Understand this journey is going to be tough, but keep yourself motivated and understand what the end goal is. It's not just having no debt and being debt free. You are literally getting your life back. Because guys, I've been in debt, I've been broke, and I've been debt free where I have 0 payments to my name. I wish I could just put the feeling that it gives you into all of you to let you know that it is worth it. So why not change your and your family's life?